a mini computer?
This is an iPad mini.
Mm.
Because I have scoliosis and I travel a lot, I have to keep everything down to minimal weight so that I can lift it. So, mini iPad, very small version of a phone, and I get all my text stuffed in here. Except those that Rinpoche wrote out for me in hard copy, and I have to go photograph those and put them somewhere. Okay, enough digressions. Your right hand, Bodhicitta, owl, Dhaka, male aspect. Your left hand, Sunyata, openness, emptiness. Bring them together, Guru Yoga, mnemonic. But now every time you go like this, you're going to remember. Chuku kunduzongo gompoi, dorji sempagarab dorji dang, shere singi bardu shin lapde, denamabzan tatatusum chi, Dzogchen jupe lama la solwa deb, ergin pema junila solwa deb. Dorji chang chitilo narodang, marpa mila gompo tatapa, na pupadang palden drupa suk, kargulama namla solwa deb. Ochen lama namla solwa deb. Dzogchen lama namla solwa deb. Kaginwari lama namla solwa deb. Shakya lama namla solwa deb. Nyendudang yundran lama namla solwa deb. Palkondu jongdang yerme pa. Gungarab dorji shintrak pa. Jetidang nisume pa. Palamanam chetente chong. Okay, would you now move it 2 inches that way? Okay, now I can see you. And therefore, we can do that thing. You know, interpenetrating, interactive, all Buddhas of the fourth time. That thing. There is a lot of tab, method taught in this text. But that's not what it's about. They're just tricks. Screwdrivers, funny little wrenches. The text is about sliding through the gap in the middle, avoiding the extremes of grasping and shoving away. Catch this point, because the tricks are just little biddly bits. They're everywhere. Example, when you push here, it fuzzes your thinking process. If your thoughts are so sharp that they're poking you, and you're in one of those I can't shut up moods, use this. It's nice and soft, won't leave a bruise. Feel how it makes them a little more fuzzy?
With your right hand, does it?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's the pressure. It's a little trick. Frankly, all of these tricks, like how you adjust the speed of thinking, turn it down, turn it up. I'm exaggerating my movements. Eye gaze and chin tip. The thing is, enlightenment is not dependent on the speed of your thinking, or the clarity, sharpness, or fuzziness of your thinking. If we came to a doorway to go outside, and the doorway had a funny shape, like it up to about here, it went up and then it went like this. So we'd probably have to go like this to go through the doorway, or like this. But once you're through the doorway, you're outside. None of that matters or has any effect on what's outside. Okay, now we're going to take this the other way so you don't get it caught in the extreme of method doesn't matter. Anybody here doing Nundro? Okay, or anybody here have been previously doing Nundro? Okay, why'd y'all do Nundro?
We had to.
They told me.
Wrong answer. Y'all do that with me and I'll make you do it again.
I love it. I'm never going to finish it.
There you go. If you do Nundro to be doing Nundro, it works. Now, you've gone too far, careful. This might be just because you like to speak in superlatives, and sometimes I follow you, I chase your superlatives down the alley.
It's like Dzogchen Rinpoche said. It's not, it's
But don't save it for later either, because you don't want to be done like you do with the last glass from the really expensive bottle. It's going to go off on you. The point I'm making is for Nundro to work, for any one of these methods to work, you have to be doing it to be doing it. And that's where the Western be here now comes in. In the method, in the practice, rather than trying to get to where you're going, you want to be doing it to feel what it does. How do I know this? The first Nundro I did to get done. Mm-hmm. Go to my teacher. I finished it. Give me the good stuff now. Mm-hmm. Oh, it didn't work. I'm so sorry. Do it again. That's Wongdo Rinpoche. Nobody can go, oh, as well as he can and make it stick. So all of these methods, the starfish, the open gaze into the side away from the sun, the breathing through your mouth without closing your nose. This is the misunderstanding that I've had infinite emails by people who got mouth breathing from a text. So they're doing it like this. They're closing off their nose with that little thing you have up in your behind your palate. And they're doing the mouth breathing like this. No. Don't shut that thing. Leave it open and breathe mostly through your mouth. Feel that you are breathing through your mouth, but don't enforce the shutting of your nose. That's not written in any of the texts. That's oral transmission. After your teacher finishes laughing at you for talking, like you have a stuffed up nose because you're doing your mouth breathing thing. This is why you need a teacher. It's not all in the books. I'm sorry, person who wanted to do it from books. Doesn't work. But you can go find somebody else for a different opinion on that. Infinite variety and infinite combination. All the different lamas with all the different personalities. Isn't it nice that you'll find one that drives you crazy in just the right way? And you may not know which one it is until much later. When Lama Topgel was chasing me around with that axe trying to chop my head off, for what appeared to me to be no good reason. I have no idea what he thought he was doing. He's chasing me around trying to chop my head off. He couldn't climb very well. I got on top of the shed until he got over it. But going to something like that, remembering, he was the most amazing teacher. Some of his students may disagree with me. You see, the survival rate among his students was not very high. So, among the survivors among his students, many did very, very well. Some feel they did very, very well in spite of him. Others feel they did very, very well because of him. And these are stories. And you gotta have some stories, but don't believe it really happened the way you think it did. It took my teacher, Wangdor Rinpoche, years to get me to stop trying to guess why he did that. There were for various that's. Why would he not let me have the text that had already been translated, that he was making me get up on a stage in a place that didn't much like me and translate off the cuff, and it was full of begats, and I'm lousy at translating begats. Why wouldn't he let me have it? It was already in English. It would have helped immeasurably. I got to embarrass myself there on a tall cushion, throny thing for a while. You will never know. There's an incredible freedom in this in Guru Yoga. You can make up the story you like best. The one that helps you further your practice rather than the one that injures your practice. So I have wonderful stories I've made up about why Lama Topgel was chasing me around with an axe. He was my chud teacher.
I was thinking when you said that, oh, maybe he was doing chud and saw you as a demon.
But you can't. Or maybe it was because he just caught me with his wife. Who knows?
Oh, maybe that.
That shouldn't have upset him. I'd already had him. Why would he care if I also had his wife?
Jealous.
Doesn't compute. So I don't think that was it. But who knows?
Make up a story.
Exactly. So you take the things that you can't really deny happened because they were witnesses, and make up a story of how this has helped you practice. It doesn't matter if he was insane, as some people believe. Some of his survivors among his students think he was just crazy.
The best lamas are.
It doesn't matter what he thought he was doing. It doesn't matter why the last years of his life were spent camping on the roof of a monastery with a pile of stones, which he threw at anyone who got anywhere near. The Tibetans left him there. That's what he wanted to do, was throw stones at people and camp on the roof of a monastery. Eventually, I think he died of exposure. But it doesn't matter. Can I get it through to you that it didn't really happen anyway? Not the way you think it did. So use it. Rewrite for yourself what you will have learned from it. If you get caught at a point of great suffering that you cannot let go while something was happening, let's say if I had felt totally betrayed while I was on that shed, waiting for him to cool off with the axe, and so that I just couldn't get past that set of sensations. Here's a technique. Chenrezig. will cross time. You need to do the Chenrezig sadhana. It's up on the website, go find it. Where your 1,000-petaled lotus, it's a 1,000-petaled Chenrezig sadhana out of the Gelugpa line, blooms and each petal becomes a ray of light and reaches out to the heart of a sentient being. You need to send one of those petal rays back through time because you're supposed to have them shine out in all 9 dimensions. Macrocosm, microcosm, dream time, yada, yada, yada. And have it bless who you were then, so that who you were then is affected, and you are able to metabolize that suffering and from it obtain a realization rather than just a pain. You can cause something to will have happened even if it didn't already have happened. Wormy, squirmy ball of timey-wimey stuff, guys. It's not linear. Make use of it. Blessing of Chenrezig is the best one I've found for blessing the past self that couldn't quite metabolize what was going down.
Would that also go for guilt that you carry from the past?
Yes.
Oh, great.
Or sometime when you were abused. Send comfort to that self so that it can metabolize the abuse and have it make them stronger rather than break them weaker. Soothe the guilt so that it becomes a learning experience, which is what guilt's supposed to do. Oh, that didn't work, did it? Oops. Well, I will try something different next time. I won't do that again. This is what confession is all about when you do Vajrasattva. You have to do these steps when you find a clog. The step of acknowledging that that action did not work well. Admitting that out loud to Vajrasattva, if that's what you're working with. This is working with guilts. And then making a very clear-cut decision to try something completely different next time. Not to repeat what did not work.
But what if it's like with a person who has died and you can't not repeat it?
But how could they're not around. How could you repeat it? You won't do that again with them. They're not there.
No. But how do you purify that suffering of you and that person?
You decide not to do that again with any person in the future. Oops, that didn't work. I'm not going to do that again. It doesn't have to be the same person. Doesn't matter who or what the bounce off was for your action. If you have a guilt on the action, it's because you've already noticed that that wasn't the best possible of actions in that circumstance, that something else would have worked a lot better for you. So all you have to do is Vajrasattva visualized, Yab Yum, in its full form. Go through the ceremony, because that helps you focus. Confess, say, this is what I did. Nobody else is around, just you and Vajrasattva. But so it's you who has to hear you very specify what it was that you did that didn't work well. Let me think of one that I can give as an example, because I like to give examples from my life. Okay, camping in a sea cave with a new lover that I wanted to have a romantic evening with on full moon night. Beautiful, smooth beach in front, not even a footprint. And you guys live by the sea, you know what I'm heading for. Well, through the night, I'm braced like this in the cave as the waves wash over us. No, it was not a delightfully romantic encounter with new man I dragged home. He wanted nothing to do with me after that. Obviously, it had been my idea. And he was terrified that he was going to die, and I'm braced. He'd say, no, I'm not going to let you die. It's okay, guy. But then he was embarrassed about that. So anyway, lost potential, romantic, very beautiful, very cute, very luscious. Somewhere in Greece. The point I'm making is, okay, I now have very good and clearly say to myself, Sea cave up cliff with no way out above overhang. Only way out along beach. Beach smooth, no footprints. How'd it get smooth? I'm not going to do that again. I am not again going to camp in a sea cave above a smooth beach. Especially on full moon night, because that's when the tides are highest. Okay, but I found exactly what the problem was. Problem was not boyfriend. I can have another boyfriend because he's cute and drag him off to a sea cave. I just have to make sure the beach has lots of footprints in it all over the place from long ago. Right? And maybe not do it full moon. Okay, made that clear. Made a clear decision not to do that again. But the importance is you have to really talk to yourself about it long enough to be clear which thing was the problem. Not to say, well, I'm not going to have another cute boyfriend and drag him off somewhere exotic for nookie. Of course I am. And girlfriend and anything else that looks interesting to me in the moment. Do you see? You have to really see, but you can only, this Vajrasattva method with Git only works on mistakes you made that may have caused the situation to become problematic. It doesn't work on why the Lama was chasing me with the axe. What works there is what kind of Dharma lesson can I extract from this peculiar situation that will improve, do well by my practice. And what I extract from that is, you'll never know why the hell the Lamas do anything. Don't try to define it. It's up to you to learn something from it, not up to them. They could, maybe they're just flailing. Maybe they're a real Lama, maybe they aren't. Don't try to figure out if they're real or if they aren't, even if they are behaving in a way that normal people would call an idiot. Chasing a student around with an axe. Really not supposed to do that. You don't take that behavior and make a bunch of wherefores and whys on them. You work with your response to it. And your response is not to what they did. It's to your interpretation of what they did. I was very fortunate. I was crouched there on that shed roof, knowing that he was a lot fatter than me and didn't climb well. He was like I am now in shape. I was just a skinny little thing, you know, living wild in India. Somehow in that moment, I did not make a why and wherefore story. And that's what I learned there, that amazing, what it feels like not in a totally intense situation of the highest intensity, not to paint it with a story. Wow. Did that really happen? Did I really learn that then, or did I go back in time and change it using Chenrezig? Maybe that's not what I learned then. Maybe that's now what I will have learned then. Do you see how we're doing this? This is important to a couple of you who have had interactions that may be inexplicable. Yes, Alex.
How would you choose, I mean, it's a question of choosing the appropriate method for whatever inner reality one is experiencing. And for example, Chenrezig method versus working with emotions if there is a traumatic...
Guilt doesn't fit nicely into the five senses, the five emotions, the six senses. So if I've got a guilt bug in me, I'm probably going to use Chenrezig or Vajrasattva. It will depend whether I want to change my past perception, because I'm pretty sure my past perception fucked me up, or whether I want to change my present perception. Chenrezig doesn't only change guilt. There are moments where you were weak because it was all too much. My first time in prison. I was just a little kid. I was 12, 13.
In prison?
Yeah. And I didn't really know how to do that. Oh, I'd read books. I'd read spy novels. I'd read James Bond. I knew what you're supposed to do when you're captured. Yeah, right, that was really going to help me a lot in Teaneck, New Jersey. So it was quite traumatic. And it weakened me for a long time. It wasn't until working with Lama Yeshe that he showed me how to go back and fix it. He's the one who taught me that. And, I mean, I completely lost Bodhicitta due to some of the experiences in there. I'd had it before then, and I could have happily killed you. In fact, I used to go out I was a homicidal maniac at 17. Used to go out covered with concealed weapons, dressed like a secretary, trawling Central Park, New York at 3 a.m. because I figured I could legally kill muggers. And the thing is, most muggers and criminals are relatively sensitive. They'd get just close enough to see my eyes and run like fuck. And I never did catch one, but it wasn't for lack of trying. Yeah, homicidal maniac came out of those experiences. I had to go work with Lama Yeshe to go fix that. This is why I'm telling you, you can fix stuff. You just need the right techniques. Yes.
About like your children, like if you couldn't protect them and something bad happened to them, can you do that for them?
I would use Vajrasattva on that for my own guilt. They would have to do that.
Okay, you can't really do it for them.
You can't do anything for anyone else. Not on that level. And to try to force it on them,
Resistance.
Well, they desperately want healing.
then they need to go ask a teacher. You can say to them, I recommend you go ask a teacher. Here's this teacher who has this method. Why don't you go ask them for it? You can do that, but that's as far as you can go. You can tell them where it is. You can't drag them by the ear over there. And it's tempting.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when they're making excuses for how broken they are and how it's all your fault and all their friends' fault and all the government's fault and everybody else's fault. Sorry, I have a kid.
So as I was understand it or misunderstand it, you gave us Chenrezig, Puja, or Vajrasattva, and then you were talking about going through in your mind and finding out what the problem was. And
That's Vajrasattva.
that's all along with the puja. This isn't you do this. Or
You do this in the puja, at
In
the
the
point
puja.
just before the mantra starts.
Okay. Thank you.
Were you saying that Chenrezig's better for the past stuff? And Vajrasattva-
Chenrezig is when you want to change the past. You send the blessing of the heart of Chenrezig, which is actually all Buddhas of the four times, which is the essence of Guru Yuga, which is Bodhicitta, which is the vitality and the aliveness of the universe, which is the clear light nature of Dharmakaya. All of these are euphemisms for that. And then that's Chenrezig personified. You send a filament, a channel, one of your heart channels, back in time to give blessings upon the participants. And you can't just do it to one participant and leave the other one out. If you're going to bless the participants in a situation, you want to get not only the main characters, but every bug in their gut. Here, I want to show you heart chakra. Everybody thinks a chakra looks like a wheel and it's flat. No, they are not flat.
Global?
Just a minute. This is a little bit klutzy and slippery because it's brand new. It was a teaching tool gifted to me recently. Between the arthritis and the new slinky. Okay, chakra goes around this way, but it also goes around this way.
Taurus. It's called Taurus.
Taurus, good. Not everybody knows that word. You're educated. I do know that word, but I hadn't thought of it.
How do you spell
So, hmm?
it? How do you spell it?
Taurus.
Taurus?
Yeah, I don't spell in any language.
It's a donut.
Donut. Oh, I know donut.
Sort of like a donut. So what you're doing is you're sending a bunch of these filaments, they uncoil. Our filaments, I use the word filament for channel, because they look to me like fiber optic filaments. But you uncoil them and send them out. So when you're doing Chenrezig, there's 1,000 of them, because it's 1,000-petaled lotus for the 1,000 arms. And so each time you open this and it sends out, you send out 1,000. So you got plenty to get the bugs in their gut too. Because as soon as you resolve the beings you touch, some in this time, some in future time, some in past time, some in microcosm, some in macrocosm, get it as big as you can. Then their 1,000-petal lotus opens and blooms. So then the next moment, it's 1,000 going out and doing that. And it doesn't matter whether it's one from your heart that touches them or one from one of the other hearts that touches them, because the whole thing is interconnected. This is a method. Collect methods. But don't believe that they are more than tools, methods. Put it in your toolbox. Something is going to need this method next.
I know you're gonna laugh because you always say I do things my way, and I do. But in the Mundo, there's this step number 6, the Pua. That's what I do my Chenrezig.
Excellent. I did not teach you that full Chenrezig sadhana today. You will have to go and get it on the website in its entirety. It's a nice one because it doesn't have words in it. No words but the mantra. You don't have to chant. Lama Yeshe taught it to us before we had a decent translator to translate the chants. So in his broken English, he explained how to do it and said, just do it. You don't have to say it. It's way back. Yes.
Just to clarify the aspect of Chenrezig, 1,000 Chenrezig, I assume, and are we visualizing Chenrezig?
Go to the website,
Okay, so what do we look for at the website?
Chenrezig sadhana.
Okay.
Anybody know what it's called there?
It's a special page, Chenrezig, and there is also audio recording, a full transcript of the audio teachings.
Is this on your website?
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna do before I
Actually,
forget.
I have that Sadhana, Lama Lena, I have it Sadhana now in PDF.
Good. Is it in Russian also?
Yes.
Okay, to find website, well, at the end you can grab one of these. Website's on it. Not the new website is not on it. I think, let me see.
There's a new website.
Yes, the new website's on it. There's an old website that's all gone now.
Oh, is that custom juju?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
the email still goes from Custom Juju. But the old Custom Juju website, no, we've got it much cleaned up. I got volunteers to do the work. Trying to get you all to understand method and wisdom. Bodhicitta and Sunyata. Fruition and practice. So I'm telling you, okay, method is nothing, method is not fruition. I just told you that for half an hour, I lied. Because I told you an absolute, and if you followed it, you'd fall over in one direction or another. While you do the method, love it. Don't be looking to have done it to get what comes after, like a nundro, which is a method. But when you finish the method, don't cling to it. Don't save that last glass of wine from the really fine wine bottle until you have a nice glass of vinegar and all you can do is put it on your salad. Do you see where I'm telling you the middle is?
You said something important there for me. When you mentioned the nundro, and that's why probably it seems like I'm never gonna, no, I do Barakilaya and all this stuff. But you said something that is triggered something that, but then I lost it. It's the
Finish the nundro.
It's not, that's it. It's not about numbers, so you can't finish
Right.
it.
No, but you can feel satisfied with it and feel that you have completed it while you choose to do it more because you like it.
Well, that's what I'm at.
You
It's
see?
Numbers,
It's not numbers.
No, it's not numbers.
I have some people doing nundro and I have them count, but most of them I won't let them count
It's years to me now.
because they get all hung up on the numbers. But I'm really lucky. I offended just enough people in life due to being autistic and slightly crazy that I have still within the ballpark figure of enough students that I can give personal attention to. If it gets to be too many, I just have to offend a few more and they'll wander off.
That's how we met, through the nundro. But I was
Mhm.
asking the same exact question that I couldn't get through with the people that I was working, that they just were like, so much numbers. I said, but, you know,
They may be people who needed that. When I did both my first and my second nundro, I needed numbers. Now I don't need numbers, but then I needed numbers. So don't take the numbers away from somebody that's using them.
for me,
Don't grab people's crutches. If they're walking around with a crutch or a cane, it's probably because they need one. They'll lose it somewhere when they're done with it.
because how can I finish Guru Yoga? When is that finished?
When you relax into it, there is neither completion nor non-completion. It is simply there.
That's what it says after you do the Tantra. Guru Rinpoche say rest in the natural state.
Yep.
That's
Exactly. And this is what I'm pointing at with this text. Again and again and again. Here's methods, and I've given you more methods than are in this text. Because somehow people said things to me that showed that they needed, oh, you need this piece. Oh, that piece is going to work for this one. So, okay, lots of methods. There are thousands of methods. Some of Norbu Rinpoche's students have had an accident. They've tried to do every single thing he taught, which does not leave them enough bandwidth to get really into anything he taught.
He warns us about that.
Yeah, and you
Because
did it
I've
anyway.
given you all these teachings, don't try and do them all.
Exactly.
But other people, they go ahead, try anyway.
Of course they will. Nobody listens.
Yep.
It's okay. Let me come back to the text a little bit and we'll finish it. Even though I did stick in extra methods. The meditation of innate awareness. I talked about what awareness means. Rig, the seer, rig to see, pa, er. Look out from behind your eyes. Feel you. Don't define you, don't think about you, just get a little bit of feel of being you. Rigpa. That's all it is. Not some highfalutin thing you're gonna eventually aspire to. When you do not add in to that natural, innate awareness that looks out from behind your own eyes, and that was doing so yesterday, and when you were 2 years old, and has not changed in all that time. All that changed is what it thinks, what it feels, and what it perceives. But that awareness didn't change. When in meditation you come upon recognition of this, the natural innate awareness exactly as it's always been, this is kata, in which all arising clumps, phenomena, projections, little things that make up clumps, are exhausted. That does not mean they go away. Unicorns do not bother you. There's your analogy. Do not expect phenomena to disappear and you to hang there in infinite open darkness, void. No, man. It's not like that. That's a made up thing. It's a this but a not that. It's empty but not full. The emptiness of Dharmakaya nature of mind is absolutely, intrinsically, and naturally full of transparent light.
The crystal.
This sphere here, see the ball between my hands? That's a ball of transparent light. There's nothing to see here, is there? It's because it's completely transparent. But it's not dark because look, when I place an object in it, that object is illuminated. See it? Not dark, not light, not white, not black. Clear, transparent light. Emptiness is full of that. So how can you call it empty? Midline. All the good and evil that you do in the world, all your inherent, here it says faults and virtues, your hang-ups, your trips over it. We've all got trips over it. We're all pretty familiar with our own trips over it because we trip over them a lot. Too intellectual, can't stop thinking, gets pissed off easy, wants to be loved, desperate to be loved. Whichever yours are, I'm picking some common ones here. Your good points that you see about yourself: independent, intelligent, lush, wise, young, old. All of these, when you stop negating or attaining these, when you stop feeding these, when you stop entertaining your hiccups, your glitches, and your good points. When you stop trying to get rid of your bad points and trying to keep your good points. When you stop providing entertainment for any of your points. When you stop trying to fix yourself. The wisdom beyond dualistic concepts. The final point of realization, whether you want to call it Dzogchen or Dzogchen or Dzogchen. It's right there. And that is the thing to notice. What I just said, stop poking at yourself. You all got into Dharma because you noticed there was something wrong with you and you wanted to fix it. That's not why most Tibetans get into it. Most Tibetans get into it because they're afraid, fear-based. We are much more self-absorbed. We get into it because we don't like ourselves and want to repair ourselves so that we can love ourselves so that somebody else might possibly love us. Yeah? Did I hit anybody's nail there? So it's really hard to stop trying to improve yourself, to attain realizations, my precious. This is why I keep shouting at you, relax, let go, leave it be. Don't concentrate with deliberate effort. But don't get dissipated and wander off distracted either. Middle way. The yoga of unfabricated naturalness. Don't worship isness. Don't go around going, it's all perfect, man. It's all cool here. No, I've seen this extreme misunderstanding quite frequently. Instead of grasping not doing, let go of doing without throwing it away. There's a retreat, a method which can only be done in retreat, called outer body Rushan. It is extremely difficult, takes 3 weeks of intensive full retreat 24/7, and I teach it every few years when enough people that are ready for it accumulate again. I tried teaching it in the short version. Rinpoche tried teaching it in the short version 3 days. I said, didn't work. Let's do it longer. Then we tried teaching it in a longer version, 11 days, middling version. Didn't really work. Or maybe for one person in it. So now it's at least 3 weeks. And we may go to 3 months.
What is the name of it?
Outer body Rushan. And you can't come unless you convince me you're sane enough to survive it. So far, no casualties. A few concussions, some other problems, but no actual dead folks.
Do you have anything set at this point, or not yet?
No, I just did it recently up in Europe and Canada, so a few more years.
Okay.
And you have to convince me you're not crazy.
Oh,
We'll
you
see
told me
about
to be
that.
more crazy. So I'm very exceptional.
You could do it. I'd let you in. And then I'd deal with the results.
Where do you hold the teaching? It won't be.
That one, we had a place out in Poland that worked quite nicely, which was quite affordable, and a place up in Canada. I've also done it in Brazil, and we did it once at Sultramaleone's.
I only we do it in
Colorado.
Mexico, it would be cheaper, I got a place there you can go.
You need exactly the right place, honey. It's fussy.
Just-
You need decent housing, decent bathrooms. You need places for people to stay. You need a cook who's doing the cooking, who's volunteer, who already knows the practice. You can't have strangers in there. So it gets a bit complex to set up. That's why it's only every few years.
And nearby hospital?
Yep.
No, we don't have that.
But that's not what I'm teaching you right now. That was a digression, and a indiscretion, to say that such things exist if you can't get not poking it in any other way. By the end of that, you should have stopped poking. Understand that, I wanted to say maintaining, but that doesn't work. Like the steady flow of a river, which does not require you to push it, and probably won't respond to your attempting to stop it. This innate and natural mind practice needs to be your continuity. But if you try to do that, you're going to be doing it. Won't work. Therefore, you do the methods. You allow the continuity. You can't force it. You guys are going to have me back down here in about a month to finish this text.
Yay!
I'm not going to get to the end of it properly.
Can we hold you to that?
Yep. I'm just making a mark where we got.
Do we get half a empowerment today, or?
Oh, you got the full empowerment and you got the full information. You just don't have the full lung.
Uh-huh.
I haven't read you all the words. I've told you what's in it. I would like to read you all the words, so I'm going off for the month of August, but I'm back in September. Y'all get together with Jan. It's only going to take me one session, so we don't need a 3. But since I hate to travel and teach, I do need a place to stay. So we'll see what turns up.
Lama Lena, would you also be willing to give us more information on the Chenrezig practice to work?
Go to the website.
Is that full information there?
It'll teach it to you.
Thank you.
I've got recorded my teaching it. It's all there. We even have practice groups of it that you can join.
Oh, good, okay.
I think I want to take a moment to explain how I'm managing to keep track of as many students as I do. First of all, let me preface this with, I am not monogamous. I tried it once when I was 14. I didn't like it. So I do not expect to be your only teacher. Okay? You're not my only student. Once we have that straight, I fully expect you to take teachings wherever you are so inclined. Don't expect all your teachings to be from me, even if you are my heart student or my root student. I still expect you to get more teachings elsewhere. That said, on my website, we have 2 kinds of classes. One is teaching groups. There's a particular number of them. We only let about 50 people into each one, because that's how many I can manage at a time, more or less. And we try to meet every month. You only get to pick one of these. I will not pick it for you. I might, once you've been in for a while, switch you to a different one. But don't bother emailing me saying which one should I pick. Figure it out. These are teaching groups where I try to meet with everybody once a month. Life being what it is, I probably end up meeting with everybody once every 2 to 3 months. That's still better than you get unless you have a Lama you're studying with in the same small town you live in. Then there's lots of student groups. These are practice groups, not teaching groups. They don't teach you something. They get together and practice it with you. There are conversations about it. A teaching might happen, but it's as like to happen from another student as anybody else. I don't come to those all the time. We have an excellent couple of different during the week Chenrezig practice groups, where you get together and you practice this particular sadhana together, and then you can talk about what you're doing with it or not, as you like. Nobody has to say anything in a group. And if your practice is Chenrezig, I highly recommend, if that's the one you're working with me on, that you join the Tantra group. The Dzogchen group is too damn full. You can join it, but you'll get less attention there than in one of the others, and you can talk about anything in a teaching group. You can ask me about a practice, about Dzogchen in a Dzogchen group, about Tantra in a Dzogchen group. So this is what I have set up in case you guys want something ongoing. But you get it all on the website. Then there's a bunch of recorded teachings. If you want to join the Dream Yoga teaching group, you should have at least listened to the teachings that are already recorded. If you want to join the Tantra teaching group, at least pick up something tantric. There's a couple of yidams out there. I've got Kurukuli out there, Vajrakilya out there, Purba. I've got Chenrezig out there.
Which is that group?
Tantra.
Oh, that's your tantric group?
That's the Tantric group.
Mm-hmm.
Now, currently there's a separate Vajrakilya group, but that will be segued into the Tantra group quite soon.
Mm-hmm.
Another month or so, because we just started that one. And then next year we're probably going to start Dorji Pagmo, and that will have its own group for a month or two, and then it'll segue into Tantra. So this is how it's set up. You do not have to do inner mind Rushen first. First, join a group and listen to some pre-recorded teachings. There are no prerequisites to join a group other than you've listened to the practice and are going to give it a try. With the exception of working with emotions, student-led group. There isn't a teaching group on it. I think to join that, you should have already had the teaching and been practicing a little bit. But you check with the students in there and see. So that's how you can get more of this if you want it. Did I clarify that enough so that anybody who happens to want to hang around can find a way to do it? Nothing is required of you. I highly recommend, however, considering the nature of samsara, that you practice something. Okay? And there's that discretion, whatever that was. I was trying to save myself some emails. Questions on anything? Because we're getting towards the end. And I'm going to come back and finish the text. And I put a place marker in. And I've pretty much taught you the gist of it. One more bit. Watch your karma. If you come to notice that sin and virtue are stories, until such time as pain does not hurt. That means if I start carving pieces off you, it does not bother you. Until such time, watch your karma. Pay attention to that. It's really important because there will be
Consequences.
not exactly realizations, but these moon in mud puddle realizations that feel as if karma isn't real.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't hurt when things happen to me. I'm making that up. I'm making up the pain. Since I am not around to slug you, which is what I usually do when somebody's caught in that, I just swat them, and it hurts, and they don't like it, and then the matter becomes obvious. But since I'm not around to do that, I'm going to do this as a warning. Pain hurts. Causing pain causes hurt. You don't like hurt. I don't care how kinky you are. You still don't like hurt. You like pleasure, which you may interpret from some acts which other people might find as hurt, but that doesn't mean you like hurt. Consider everybody's got a boundary, no matter how kinky they are. The point I'm making for you here is pay attention to karma. Because you, the pointy clump, will be affected by the actions of the pointy clump. Your shape will change by your actions. It's a lot longer teaching on karma I'm not giving you now about which karma does what and how it works. But do pay attention to two things. Don't even go sin and virtue. Gewa and digpa. If it causes constriction and stress to you or someone else, now or later or in the past, it is highly suspicious for digpa, creation of negative karma. If it causes open-hearted relaxation, it is highly suspicious for gewa. Not just to you in the moment you do it. Flipping somebody off in traffic relaxes you. It just doesn't relax them. So follow the action down into the future and the past. What caused you to have that to make that action as a reaction to this thing? And feel it. And if there's constriction in there, it might not be the best action to do. Pay attention to karma. Okay, I did the warnings. Now you can ask questions. Or are you full for now?
Is gewa something to be avoided also?
No,
No.
not yet. Karma keeps it going. The greatest gewa that perpetuates is the bodhisattva vows. Are they to be avoided? Only if you want to be an arhat and snuff yourself out like a candle. No, not really. Just because you don't think you're the clump anymore, or there's no clump that thinks it's you anymore, doesn't mean that culmination has occurred. Yes.
Quick review question on the exercise from this text that is for revitalizing energy, preventing drowsiness or addressing drowsiness.
Mm-hmm.
Are we doing this visualization eyes open or eyes closed?
Eyes open. In Dzogchen, it's almost all eyes open. In Tantra, it varies. Depending on whether it's a pure tantric teacher or a Dzogchen teacher, it will depend on how much they emphasize the eye gazes. In Sutrayana, eyes are often closed in meditation. You're looking for peace. Other questions?
So I had a little follow-up. now
Go.
that I think of it. You talked about Tudum,
I did.
and I'm curious if there is also a prescribed position for Tudum, or if a practitioner that couldn't sit up could do it lying down.
Yes, position the Buddha died in.
Right.
Would be more.
On
Yeah,
one side.
right side.
Thank you. Right side. Thank you.
In some lineages, they think that's different for some people.
Do you think it would be proper if I conspire maybe with Martin and other people to, we can make a, in the future, outer body erosion somewhere in Mexico that has the, we will need to have the, anything can be done in Mexico, I'll tell you that for sure.
Okay, well, Martin certainly knows what's needed because he's done it.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that, I'll get into it. Interesting.
Not for a couple of years. I don't have time yet.
Well, no, but
It's a big thing for me to go do one. Takes a lot of energy.
But it'll give us time to prepare.
Yeah, oh yeah. The thing is that the people doing the retreat, they can't do any of the work. You need workers.
We can find, Mexico can have anything, look, I live there.
But the workers have to have done the retreat.
Oh.
Yeah.
You can't make there.
Catch 22.
Well, we'll see, we're still trying. See what we can find.
Okay, so just see that I'm just letting you know that there
We'll
is
explore.
criteria
We
there.
might even get some help here.
I haven't done it.
But you know people.
I don't know who hasn't, only the Lama knows.
Oh, that's right, because it's secret.
I'm just letting you, Martin, so yes, you can talk to him about it. He won't tell you what happens in it,
I know, that's been that,
but he can talk to you about the kind of place.
We can explore.
If I have personal questions, do you prefer I ask them now or when we come up and,
If you don't mind other people hearing them, I'd rather have them now.
okay,
Because somebody else probably has the same question.
okay. Okay, first of all, so then were you did retreat in India, in one or more caves of
Mhm.
Sopema? Are there still places like that?
Yes, you have to go way up past where I was, because it's too civilized where I was. I mean, I still go there and I have a cave there, but there aren't any more. Go up into Lahul Spiti.
How do you spell that?
L-A-H-O-U-l.
What was that?
PITI.
S-P-I-T-I.
Listen to them, I don't spell.
It's on Google Maps.
What?
It's on Google Maps.
Google Maps. Okay.
L-A-H-O-U-l. The second word is S-P-I-T-I.
Okay, got it too. Thank you. And then, what did you do about food, water, and cooking?
I lugged the water from the spring. I cooked the food on a fire. And I brought the food up from town
So then,
in a sack, as much as I could carry at one time.
okay, and so then with the fire, so then it's just, do you know how to build a fire
Yep.
from scratch?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I figured I don't. So then.
learn.
Okay, I was thinking about that. Survival
Google it.
skills and,
Also
Yeah.
on YouTube, actually.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. Yes, you need to be decent at building a fire and you need to be a decent cook. I had one student almost off himself in a retreat up there. Tibetan too.
off himself by not cooking for himself.
Yeah, he got such bad malnutrition and so sick because he didn't know how to cook beans at altitude. You can only cook beans in a pressure cooker at altitude. The only thing you can cook without a pressure cooker is lentils. And you have to get the little ones.
Or maybe moonglings and stuff.
No.
No. Okay.
Pressure cooker.
Okay.
So these are the things you need to know. You need to know nutrition. You need to take care of yourself. You need to be pretty strong and pretty healthy. I don't know how far you have to carry the water. But if you want to do that, that's a young person's thing.
Do you have any other suggestions if I couldn't do that? Like even if there are other places in Nepal or something? Not necessarily.
Why do you want to
India?
do it in India? There are retreat centers in different places.
It's also more affordable.
Okay,
it
so
costs-
there
it
are
costs-
retreat centers over there.
Right.
You can rent a house in Solpema or a room or something, and you can go further up and rent a room. You can hire somebody to cook for you, or you can make an arrangement with a family to deliver food.
So I don't necessarily have to do it really rough in a cave.
Right,
Okay.
but don't live with the family. If you want a family cooking for you, you get your own place some distance off and you arrange that they deliver a cooked meal once a day and you have a way to reheat it or something.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
But you have to, you're gonna have to go out there and figure it out for yourself how you wanna do it. That's the only way.
They have that in Yomo too, where you can get a hut and they'll bring you your food and your fire.
Yeah, that's around in different places.
Okay, I'll talk to you afterwards.
You talk to her about Yolmo, she knows, I don't.
They've got retreat centers in California too.
Yeah, but she can't afford them.
Oh, I see.
They're really expensive here in the West.
There are also lots of places where you can just camp.
You know who you need to talk to is Gigi. Sorry, Gilly. Gilly, if you're out there, how do I put her in touch with Gilly? Email me. Tell me to forward your email to Gilly. I'll do so, and then you guys can correspond or not. She's really good at doing that. And she's not that young. She's not in her 20s.
Okay.
So she's a good person to talk to as a resource.
Okay.
She's in Peru at the moment, doing that.
Okay. Okay, and then I do have more questions. So
Okay.
then,
Are these questions useful to the rest of you? Not necessarily, so let's try a
They're
couple.
helping me develop patience.
Okay.
so then, okay, so then I have found in my direct experience that, so then in doing formal retreat, it's a totally different rules and spiritual laws, different rules and laws as far as, lots of things, but in terms of engaging, so there's, for me in doing retreat, any kind of engaging I've even had to do with especially people I'm closest to, it really breaks the
So
retreat
guys, here's the
energy.
thing with retreat.
Okay.
Break it.
Okay.
Do it. Stop engaging. And then after some time, engage. It's the in out of retreat that's so valuable. Anyone can fool themselves in a long retreat that they're enlightened. Because there's no irritant. However, should you have a partner, it's really hard to fool yourself about that because they are extremely irritating. I don't care how much you love them, partners are an irritant compared to being in retreat.
Okay, so I'm in an unusual situation for the last 5.5 years. I've been doing retreat with my friend living in a house too, but I've learned that I can't interact with him at all.
What
So
you need to do is you need to learn to interact. So you can't only do retreat. Guys, don't set yourself up for just being a retreat person. Do retreat without interaction. Interact. Back and forth. Figure it out until it makes no difference. You don't want to be stuck in retreat. You don't want to need this.
Okay, I'm in a really complicated situation.
Doesn't matter. I'm giving this as what is the answer generally.
Okay.
Regardless of how complicated your personal relationships are, we all have complicated personal relationships. I doubt yours are any more complicated than mine. I like them that way. It's still a matter of in, out. Go into retreat, but you get high in retreat. You get all these really cool realizations called nyams in retreat. Just as you need to break it again and again, pop it again and again and again, so you need to not only make retreat. However, if you never make retreat, you're so busy interacting with the world that you don't even get the opportunity to have these great nyams. Middle way, in and out. How long you want to be in versus out, that is going to be dependent on you. But if I get someone who's been in retreat too long, I pull them out a little bit and give them some conflict to deal with. If I get somebody who's too caught up in their conflicts, I stick them in retreat. So it almost sounds like whatever you're doing, I'm going to tell you to do the opposite. Well, yeah.
Okay, so then that leads to, this is the first time that I've been out of Trinity County in 5.5 years, because I've been doing retreat up there. So here I am in Santa Cruz. And so my family, my mother most specifically, but a lot of relatives are in LA. And so I'm really leaning towards going there in a couple days after.
Good idea.
Okay, so then as far as I have extended family there too, so it's not just some of my.
But go
immediate.
there and only interact for a few days.
Okay, I was thinking that too, but I
And
wasn't
then
sure.
go find a tent somewhere in that area that you can get to and go and retreat for a week until it settles. Then come out and interact for a few more days until it jangles. Then go in retreat until it settles. Jangle, settle. Jangle, settle. If you keep doing this long enough, at some point you're going to notice what doesn't change whether you're in retreat or not. And that's your point. Find that.
Is it okay to get involved with even extended family and not just immediate?
This has nothing to do with what you're getting involved with,
Okay,
sure.
just do it a few days and then leave.
It
right.
is the come out until you're all fucked up. Okay? You're all jangled and fucked up and all your realizations are gone. Go back in until all your confusion's gone.
Okay. My confusion is really, I haven't had the nyam experiences in the last 5.5 years, but previously I did have good experience.
What were you doing previously when you began to when you had experiences? Not in retreat?
At that time I was doing, I had been doing retreat part-time around work. And so then it was,
So let's look at this. It stopped working when you just went into retreat, didn't it?
no, something more complicated happened. Okay, I was just on the threshold of really, it's hard to explain, but anyways, I listened to a teacher to not pursue the direction that which just felt natural for me to be going, because I did get jostled by
This is too complex,
It
and the
is, that's what I'm
situation is
saying.
not complex, it's very simple. What doesn't change? Find it. Everything else is method. All the complexities that you're giving me are simply stories orbiting around. what changes and what doesn't. So regardless of what practice you choose, regardless of what stories about why and wherefore this practice, you need to find what changes and what doesn't and what the difference is. Try it. Everything else is method. Anyone else with a question?
We have some from the online.
Okay.
One question is, how can we avoid subtle conceptualization of the practice?
You can't. So let it happen. Just don't believe it. If you want to avoid something, you're going to an extreme. If you want to keep something, you're going to an extreme. Avoiding is to shove. Don't shove. Don't grab. Relax and just let go. So, yeah, you're going to subtly conceptualize the practice. No, you're doing it. Don't believe a word of it. Next. And keep practicing.
Related to the previous questions, can I use Dzogchen as a retreat in my room every day? As you've described it, I feel like I already do this every day with my wife and friends, going in and out on a daily basis.
No, that's not a retreat. That's just basic daily practice.
Okay.
Anybody else got something that might be interesting to a few people?
The practice you have described was related on the cushion. What do we do off the cushion?
Gom.
Gom. Just basic okay.
Basic Gom.
Okay, got it.
This is a Dzogchen teaching, which means your basic pattern is the 3 words of Garib Dorji. On the cushion, you work on relaxing and relaxing past relaxation and past your concept of relaxation. Off the cushion, it's actually the same, except there isn't the continuity that you attempt to maintain. So you do quick flashes whenever you remember. That's where it starts. Do not attempt to prolong those quick glances. You'll distort them. You have to allow them to prolong themselves when they're ready. When they're not ready, anything you do to them will be a distortion.
I have a problem that whenever I really get into practice, my life goes to shit. Like
Yeah.
money, no housing, like my body now. I just did this retreat.
You must be doing something extreme in your practice.
I don't know why.
Well, what practice are you doing?
Well, I was doing Guitarra at Land of Medicine Buddha with Kondrova, and I danced Guitarra for her in the group, and I did the empowerments, and I volunteered, and I did, there was
Okay, basic Tantra.
and teachings, lots of transmission teachings. It was great, and I like quit smoking weed, and I was feeling really great, and I was doing practice all the time, and having all these wonderful, feelings, in the mornings, and all this wonderful thing, and then my hip went out, and then my
Oh, these are
all
not
this
related,
stuff, all
or
this
not
stuff.
related in the way you think they are. Sometimes some good practice will just accelerate some stuff. Hip went out is a hell of a lot easier than leg broke off.
Okay. Well, I'm on the 3rd floor, so I really need to move off the 3rd floor. So needle in a haystack, and then I have a
No, I don't want the specifics.
Okay,
You're getting too specific.
all right.
You're having glitches. Consider that any single one of these glitches could have been much more extreme.
Okay.
When you do a lot of good practice, for some people, it will accelerate the karma. So you're gonna need to do a slightly different Tara practice combined with that.
I've been doing Osar Chinma with it.
That's not the one. That's for travel,
Well, it's
crossing
also for
borders.
wealth, money,
Ozil Chenma? No, that's not for wealth and money. You want a yellow Tara for that.
she's kind of gold money. Anyway, I need the wealth one, I need the home, I need the like.
So what you might want to do is 21 Taras.
That's basically what we were doing in the 21, the mandala dance is the 21, I guess it's not me.
That's the
doing it.
dance of the 21 Taras.
I was radiant health. And then my hip
Oh,
went
there you
out.
go. There's your glitch. Too much self-focused. Start trying to give all that away instead of wanting it.
I was doing Tonglen with it, that's what it's all about.
That's fine, but you can do Tonglen quite self-focused. You are still primarily interested in you.
Okay.
See if you can let go of that and let it spread.
Well, what about survival, like, housing and money and like, I have to survive?
Why?
Cause that's the shit that's hitting the
You
fan.
know, the first time I was out of money, I've had a very interesting realization. Somebody asked me a week after the first time I ran out how the hell I lived without money, and I realized, remembered 2 weeks ago, sitting there, spending my last couple of rupees, and when it was gone, I realized I was still breathing in and out. And that's how you live without money. You are focusing on survival in a clenchy way. You need to focus on survival in a non-self-focused way. I'm not sure how to tell you the method of that. It is again the same as we're having in this conversation about finding the midpoint, where you're not so unfocused on caring for yourself that you damage yourself, but you are not obsessed with it. And the more it teeters, your life, your money, your health, the more you tighten around it, as would anyone. And I'm trying to get you to find a method of letting that tightness dissipate. And I don't think Tara's working for you.
Is that what's happening?
Let's try Chen Razik.
And then, I missed the dream yoga because I was doing this, but should I stay in the dream yoga group? I love that group.
Yeah. You just practice Chen Razik.
Okay, and hit the Tara for,
Hit the Tara, see if the Chen Razik will soften things.
okay,
It's known to do that.
this Tara just kicked my ass.
Which was probably exactly what you needed, but I think you might have had enough for a while. You're tensing up around it.
Okay.
Let's shift it to Chen Razik for a while. Anybody? Yes.
So the groups on the website, basically just choose one group
Of the teaching groups.
of the teaching groups, I mean.
There isn't a teaching group called Chen Razik.
No, I'm talking about the teaching group.
Yeah, you just choose one.
So, if I'm in a, what am I in?
I don't know. I see you periodically, so you're in something.
The advanced Dzogchen, is that a teaching or?
Mhm.
Okay, so can I sign up for a practice also?
Sure, you can join Working with Emotions, you can join 21 Taras, you can join Chen Razik, you can join Working with Thoughts,
What about Tantra?
any of those. No,
Tantra?
Tantra's a teaching group.
There's Trek Show too. I'm in the Trek Show.
Trekcha's a teaching group. But the practice groups you can, of the Tantras, you can join
Kurukuli?
Kurukuli,
Oh, good.
you can join Purba, you can join Chen Razik. So there's 3 tantric practice groups going on. Is there a Mahamudra practice group? No. Yes. On Saturdays.
Thank you, Mama.
I don't know, I was once where in Santa Cruz, where she was, the same questions that she was posing. I had that, many of us. But my solution was just to move to a cheaper place.
Mm-hmm.
What's your solution?
He moved to somewhere cheaper. He lives in Mexico most of the time.
Oh.
It's cheaper.
If you can,
Go to Mexico.
That's
Food's
no
good.
bueno.
However, she may have absolutely no income. Cheaper is good if you have a income that's small.
Social Security.
Yeah, where she's too young for that.
Thank you.
So that may not be a good solution for her, but people find solutions. You had a question behind.
Between, as a compounded pointy mass, between our neurology and our microbiome and our karma, is it helpful at all to frame it along the lines of realizing you just don't have free will?
Sometimes. But that's an absolute. You do and you don't. Middle. Find the middle.
Thank you.
In the back?
So, let's see. What I'm interpreting in the story of my practice since I started, I observed periods of expansion and contraction. So that is going and stuff, and then the sneaky thing of wanting to shut it off and get distracted. So is that a thing?
Yep, that's a really well-known thing.
Okay. All right. It's like, oh, look at this movie.
So
Okay.
allow yourself to do that sometimes. Don't squish yourself so hard it hurts. But don't allow yourself to do that every time.
Yeah.
Find the middle way. That's what this teaching is about. All the extremes and how to bat yourself back into the middle using methods. So, hey, I get that. If I'm teaching a lot, it's like, I don't want us to have anything to do with Dharma for the next 3 days. Make it go away. That's just a thought. It happens. Okay, it can happen. Now, so I'll relax a bit and it'll refresh and it'll be back. So I don't worry about that too much. And sometimes I do send people to take sabbaticals and vacations from practice because they've been too tight. Usually it's because I'm too tight. Why that would react like that. If I push too hard, which I sometimes do while I'm teaching because I'm trying to communicate with a whole bunch of different personalities. And as an autistic person, that's not always the easiest thing. So, yeah, you're going to feel that. It's a sign that you were practicing with too much hard. So, loosen it up, take a little rest, go read the book or watch the movie. But also notice when you're nice and relaxed and you come back to it and try not to clench it so hard. You find the happy medium. I'm still looking for it, but that's okay. You can look with me. We can all look for the happy medium. In between practicing too hard and clenching and practicing not enough and just wandering off and being distracted. How do you find balance?
Teetering.
You teeter and you feel your way into it. And since everything is moving that moves, it's a dynamic balance. When you have noticed that which does not move, as well as that which does, sufficiently that the two do not appear to be different things, then the balance of the dynamic balance becomes obvious. Make sense, any of that? Anybody else with a last question before we close this for tonight? Are you waving your hand or are you just twiddling?
Actually, I have a question. So, I often, maybe not often, but for example this time, I find myself in a position where everything makes absolutely perfect sense. There's nothing that I want to know. It's just fantastic and amazing, and I don't want to move. I don't know who I am. It's just all there.
Okay.
And lo and behold, a few moments later, it's snatched away by something.
Ah, no it isn't.
Okay, but I don't know what the problem is with me. What's my problem? I mean, if I don't
You're
have a
grabbing
problem,
it.
I'm just thinking it's so wonderful. Is that
Yeah.
that's grabbing? Huh?
For you, in this way, you're thinking it's so wonderful. Pardon me.
There's water right there.
It's not water I need a lozenge.
Whiskey?
Whiskey would do it.
There's a lozenge or
No, I got a thing. I just need to get one out. This is my Icelandic moss. Works really good. I can only get them in Holland or Iceland. So, part of that is wonging. There's been a lot of pointing in all 4 levels: intellectual, emotional, symbolic, and telepathic. That always goes on, but it pulls you in, and you then develop an attachment to it. It's all so wonderful. I really like it. Can I keep it, Mom? There's your oops. Let it come and go. Find what doesn't come and go. What's coming and going for you is simply child luminosity of path. You've still got, it doesn't come and go, mother luminosity of ground. So, first you have to find mother luminosity of ground. I keep shouting at you and hitting you over the head with child luminosity of path. But mother luminosity of ground, you have to find it within yourself. Well, that wasn't exactly right because it's not inside or outside, but you know what I mean. Then you have to see, first you have to really be clear which is which. Then you have to see that they're the same thing. Let mother and child luminosity unite. Break this down into steps. Find what doesn't come and go. Be really clear that what comes and goes, comes and goes. Do not mistake what comes and goes for what does not. Those are the 2 steps. Third step, Tultra Naljor, yoga of dancing stillness. Find what moves within what does not. Find what does not within what does. But that's later. Right now, you want to look for what doesn't go away and what didn't come. It's not anything I gave you. See if you can find that in your practice. Your practice doesn't cause it. Does this make sense? And I think I need to stop talking.
You're getting all choked up.
Ye wandi nyur duda che che sala go pashu. We are complete.
Always have any,
have
we'll be.
the long life prayer, written by Lama Lena.
It's been nice in the next year.
Oh, thank you.
Of the trillion.
It's really of the trillion of the knowledge holders, the chief is the supreme Ekadrati, whose sun shone like activity, pervading everyone.